Many alive today have forgotten that Earth didn't always belong to man. Before man roamed the Earth, Titans ruled. The Titans soon after were then overthrown by the gods. The gods were a greedy bunch. They fought each other for territory, power, and fame. Over the centuries, however, they became more civil. They began dividing up the world into continents and bodies of water. Some gods took to the sea, others to the sky, and some to the stars. Over time, the gods began to create humans, living organisms who possessed vast potential for good. The humans were very thankful to the gods and began to pray to their deities. The gods learned that when humans prayed to give thanks to them, it would recharge their powers and make them stronger. The gods and humans had a very long-lasting mutual friendship. The gods would provide for the humans, and the humans would provide for the gods with ritual sacrifices and prayer. Over the years, however, some of the gods became forgotten and disappeared. Others thought they could be remembered by humans if they created monstrous threats to destroy all humanity. This would force the humans to rely on the gods and thus bringing them back into power. This was not the case. Over time, humans became more intelligent and learned how to solve problems like the creature issue. It wasn't until gods began having offspring with humans that humans began to worship the gods again. This brings us to one demigod who is destined by fate to take part in a war that will tip the scales of good and evil. Suruthucles was born to Khaled, the god of the mountain, and Elena, a witch of a long-forgotten Native American tribe. Suruthucles' father was an honorable god. His strength and stature were admired by many. Khaled's worshippers in all mountainous parts of the world would pray to him for protection, and he would deliver. There were occasions when this god would smite fallen worshippers or those wishing to do harm to his true believers. Suruthucles' mother would fight against armies of humans, creatures, and monsters for sport. She was one of the strongest witches in her tribe. Some claim that she was the strongest witch ever to exist. Elena was bestowed the honorary title of the Chief Spear. Khaled loved Elena's spirit and made her his wife. As time passed, Suruthucles was born. He had the same build as his father. He was tall, muscular, strong, quick, and agile. Suruthucles had superior intellect when it came to battle, a trait he gained from both of his parents. He also had the drive to seek victory no matter the cost. Being a demigod was both a blessing and a curse. As a demigod, he would have power that all mortals desired to possess. But this power came at a price. Demigods and demigoddesses would be hunted by monsters and creatures because they gave off a unique aroma that was all too irresistible. Because of this, many demigods lost their lives a little too early. One such battle took place on Suruthucles' 23rd revolution around the sun. He fought a creature known as a paleo spikehorn at the base of Azure Mountain. It was a 15-foot-long creature with two large dinosaur-shaped legs, two short arms with long claws, a massive-sized tail with a sharp blade-like tip, two large wings capable of flight, and two large eyes allowing the monster to see clearly in the dark. This was Suruthucles' first solo battle that would gain him the respect of his father and the other gods. He fought valiantly for 7 days and 8 nights without sleep. He skinned the monster with his trusted sword, Ascalon, to wear as a trophy. He also cut apart the paleo spikehorn to feast on to honor his opponent the same way his mother's tribe would do to the animals on their hunt. To Suruthucles' surprise, he found a glowing green stone inside the monster's belly. The stone glowed and twinkled in Suruthucles' massive hands. After staring at it, the stone merged itself with Suruthucles. The stone, adhered to his forehead, surged energy throughout Suruthucles' body. At first, Suruthucles began to scream from the immense heat that was melting his skin. Moments later, the burning sensation was gone and felt energy coursing throughout his body. He had never felt stronger, and in that moment he believed that he possessed the strength that could rival the gods. From the shadows behind Suruthucles approached a long, skinny figure that was emitting a blue light. The figure happened to be none other than Jester, and flying down from the trees above was a 5-foot purple bat with an enormous skull, the Boned Bat. The three of them had words with each other under the moonlight that even I, as the narrator, do not know. All I can say for certain is that it will most likely play a major role in our story in the near future. Fast forwarding 10 years, Khaled learned about Suruthucles' quest to build a team of champions so he may face off against the young demigoddess. Khaled was upset at the fact that the demigoddess he was out to fight was the daughter of the lunar god of Fantasia, Ayan. Khaled and Ayan had fought many battles alongside each other. The mutual respect the gods had for each other was as close to friendship as gods could get. Khaled knew that if his son could defeat the lunar demigoddess, then his son could rise ranks and be bestowed the title of god. What a big honor that would be. With a 1-year time frame ticking down, Khaled spoke with his son about a monstrous warrior that would be sure to provide his champion's team with much-needed strength and firepower. The warrior was a collaborative creation from both a powerful underworld deity and a war deity. Khaled had gone head-to-head with him a few centuries ago and barely came out on top. The two used their fists on the field of battle, earned each other's respect, and became friends. Khaled gave Suruthucles a map to the warrior's location. Suruthucles traveled through an area known as the Mountain Pass. The location was only accessible by walking through the Veil. The Veil is a mystic doorway into another realm. The Veil occupies the same space as other places on Earth. Fantasia would be an excellent example of a veil that splits between the Kitsune realm and the human realm. The name Mountain Pass itself doesn't do the area any justice. The Mountain Pass seemed like an apocalyptic wasteland set ablaze. Suruthucles fought some lower-level monsters and creatures on his way through the mountain. This put a smile on his face. Suruthucles lives for fighting. Something about having his fist make contact with another's face just made him feel all sorts of satisfaction. Suruthucles was nearing a clearing when he felt the temperature around him rise. Just a few hundred feet ahead of Suruthucles was a large humanoid monster standing in front of a glowing red portal. The monster stood about 7 feet tall, had very pale white skin with glowing orange eyes. He had red markings on his body that swirled and moved. He was wearing a black feathered loincloth, had 2 black shoulder pads that resembled beast talons, and a feather black cape attached to the shoulder pads. Suruthucles knew by simply looking at the attire that this monster respected the hunt the same way he did. In the monster's right hand was a medium-sized wooden shield, and in his left hand was a red trident adorned with gold. "Are you here to challenge me, demigod? Or are you too scared?" the monster questioned. Suruthucles felt anger boiling up inside of him. He tried to bury the anger for now because he knew he was there for one reason, and that reason was to build up his team of champions. At the moment, his associates were out recruiting other worthy candidates, just as he had found the Twins of Terror. "I'm not here to fight, monster. I am Suruthucles, son of Khaled, god of the mountain, and son of Elena, great witch of the forgotten tribe and chief spear. I am here to recruit you for an upcoming battle," Suruthucles proclaimed. "Ah, the mountain god! What has it been, 2, maybe 3 centuries since we fought with our fists? For him, I would assist in battle. However, you are not him. You are but just a mere child. If you could best me, then I might reconsider your offer." Suruthucles wasn't the most patient of demigods. In fact, he would only swallow his pride when in front of other gods and goddesses. Luckily for him, this was just a mere monster. To Suruthucles, this monster was nothing more than an undisciplined animal that needed a good beating. Suruthucles lunged forward and struck the monster with his mighty fist. The monster reacted by blocking with his shield and striking Suruthucles with his trident. Suruthucles flew and rolled through the rubble on the ground. His fist was in pain from making contact with the shield. He wondered if the shield was somehow enchanted. "What was that? Your father would never be so low or so foolish to use a frontal assault against an armed enemy," said the monstrous warrior. "I guess it will take more than natural power to stop you then. How about I use this instead?" Suruthucles was pointing at the green stone adhered to his forehead. It began to glow, and so did his body. The energy was surging around Suruthucles. "Are you ready to rumble?" the monster shouted, hoping that whatever it was that Suruthucles did would make this battle just a little bit more fun. "Oh, I'm ready," Suruthucles responded, and just like that, he disappeared in a flash and appeared behind the monstrous warrior. Suruthucles swung a mighty fist at the monster but couldn't make contact. The monster's body was engulfed by a fireball, and then the fire exploded outward in all directions. Suruthucles felt the burning sensation all over his body and was blown backwards again. Good thing you had that glowing shield around your body. Normally that would take out you halflings, the monstrous warrior said confidently. Suruthucles had been in countless battles, but had never found himself in this position before. Instead of his confidence waning, he became more excited. He could finally test his strength against a worthy opponent. This would be the first time that Suruthucles tested out the full power of his stone, and he was ready for the challenge. The two fought for hours. Suruthucles made some physical contact with his fist and feet, and even managed to shoot out energy from his stone over a distance. The monster was able to make contact as well with his experienced fighting abilities, as well as with his fire projectiles that he emitted from his body. The monster also managed to reach his hands into the portal and pulled out new weapons whenever he needed. Turns out the portal he was protecting was his own personal weapons vault. I must admit, you are a worthy opponent, monster, said Suruthucles. I must admit that you truly are your father's son. I hadn't had this much fun in ages, said the monstrous warrior. The two continued to fight and began to build mutual respect. The monster unleashed massive intense heat enveloping Suruthucles. Suruthucles willed his stone to grant him even more power. The stone did just as Suruthucles wished. Suruthucles began to glow, but this time it wasn't just a green glow of energy that surrounded him. This is difficult to explain, but instead of just being a green glow, the energy was green with a mixture of colored stars. The energy surrounding Suruthucles was then unleashed at the monster. The monster barely managed to dodge the energy. The energy traveled and made complete contact with the glowing portal, and a large blast of energy blew the two warriors away from the explosion. Suruthucles was the first to his feet. He walked over to the monster and offered him his hand. The monster took it, and without even saying a word, Suruthucles was acknowledged as being the victor. Off in the distance, Suruthucles saw something strange that caught his attention. It was a glowing fissure floating in midair where the portal once stood. Suruthucles swore he heard a strange voice coming from the fissure. Both Suruthucles and the monster headed towards the fissure to investigate. The idea of parallel worlds isn't a new concept. Imagine having to make a choice in your world. Let's say it was something as simple as returning a fallen $20 bill to the owner you witnessed drop it. In your reality, you made the choice to do something good. In another world, you may have made the opposite choice and keep the money. Every decision we make shapes who we become. Every time a decision needs to be made, a new path is created. New possibilities open up, and new stories are created. This is the theory of the dimensional multiverse. A theory that has already been proven to be true, at least to me, my companions, and a few rare individuals. Who am I, you ask? I'm the keeper of the stories, of course. Who do you think has been narrating the adventures you have been listening to? Some 30-something-year-old teacher who enjoys storytelling and art? It's so laughable what your minds can comprehend. I'm the one that sees all that has been written, and is capable of seeing all of which has yet to be written. I am the holder of the tomb of dimensional existences. I am known in my realm as Kosh V, the page turner. Do you wish to know my story? Well, unfortunately for you, my part in the stories of heroes and villains is still a long ways off. Don't worry, I'll eventually get there, but for now, continue to enjoy my stories, for a great conflict will soon arise, and even greater adventure to follow. Did I pique your interest? Great. I love stories because you never know what lies beyond until you turn the page. What is happening? Is there a breach in my dimension? This is impossible. I've not read that this would happen. What do we have here? Are you the voice I've been hearing? This is impossible. You shouldn't be here. We don't come face to face for another 5 months. Are you a seer? Matters not. I will claim you and your powers for myself. That is not going to happen. What is that bright blue light coming from your hand? Where did he go? He escaped, and it seems the fissure is disappearing. It seems things are about to get more interesting.